Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Damn it! No matter how many times I watch that intro, I love it every time. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the View 52 Challenge. Your host, once again, Jack Pinchuk, and with me, as always, on our journey through classic cinema is Alex. Alex, how are you doing today?
Fine. I remembered we had to do the show seconds before we went live. 30 minutes ago, I was like, I should be doing something. Shower, getting ready, clothes, and we're here. We're here.
Yeah, that is fair. That's honestly the whole vibe for this episode bar. And also, once again, joining us this month, it's Melissa Woody. Melissa, how are you today?
Yeah, I think we're at the part of the challenge where it's really emphasized on the word challenge. It's really kind of difficult to find the time to watch all these movies. And but yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm also trying to remember all of these movies, but I'm excited to talk about them with you, and hopefully my brain starts firing off once we start talking.
Yeah. Well, that's what the spreadsheet helps with that you made. So thank you for that. That's the most helpful thing we've had this whole time. All right, so we're here. Our show's a little late this month, but that's okay. Just life happens sometimes, but we're here, and we're here to talk about the movies we watched this month. And for those challenges, the challenges being a Best Actor / Actress winners double feature challenge. So 2 movies that week: a film by Charlie Chaplin, a film featuring Audrey Hepburn, and a German film. I think it's safe to say that we had some interesting choices for some of these. I'm excited to talk about one specifically, but we'll get there eventually. Let's start with the Best Actor / Actress winners double feature. Melissa, do you want to kick us off for this one?
Sure, would love to. So I'll start with my Best Actress winning movie, which is called The Country Girl, which the winner was Grace Kelly. And kind of general plot synopsis is this director hires, which is played by William Holden, and he hires this actor, which is played by Bing Crosby. And Bing Crosby is an alcoholic, and his wife is Grace Kelly. And basically, it's kind of just like this dynamic between the three of them for the most part. I will say overall, the movie's fairly forgettable. We were kind of talking about it very briefly before we went live. It's just, I don't really remember much from this movie. I would say all 3 of their performances were really solid. And it was interesting seeing Bing Crosby play an alcoholic, and I thought the depiction was fine. Like, I wouldn't say it was like, oh my gosh, like, I wasn't like knocked off my feet or anything, but I thought he did good, and I thought Grace Kelly was good as well. Is it a Best Actress winning performance? Sure. I mean, not really. It's fine. But I don't know. I will admit I did not look to see who she was going up against that year, but I thought she was fine. I would say she was a little bit more stripped down than I typically have seen her because I feel like she's always really glamorous and kind of has like an unapproachable kind of vibe to her. I would say she's a little bit more down to earth in this one. So, what did you guys think of The Country Girl?
I think I liked it the most out of the three of us. Here's the thing: I thought Grace Kelly and Bing Crosby, especially, like I don't think they're some of the greatest performances of all time, but before watching this movie, I watched Carmen Jones for this challenge and the 1954 version of A Star Is Born because I was watching a couple of Judy Garland's movies and I was like, how did she not win for this? And after watching it, I kind of got it because this is a very not Grace Kelly performance. She's giving a completely different performance than what you would see in like To Catch a Thief or Rear Window. Judy Garland absolutely should have won. It's a phenomenal performance. The Man Who Got Away is like an all-timer at this point for me. She also beat she also beat Audrey Hepburn in Sabrina, which is a little crazy. But you know what? It's a very solid performance, and had it come out like the year before or the year after, I wouldn't have as big a deal or as big a deal with her winning Best Actress. But she beat Judy Garland. It's a little rough. It's a little rough. But Bing Crosby, I thought this was the best I've seen him in any of his movies. To be fair, my Bing Crosby movies knowledge is very limited. However, this blows his performance in Going My Way out of the water. Like, it's not even close. It's a very happy-go-lucky performance in that movie. It's not that in any way, shape, or form in this. It's very interesting film. William Holden kind of gets forgotten about, it seems like. He's just kind of there, but he's not on the same level as the other two, which is weird to say because William Holden is William Holden. He's incredible. Anyway, yeah, no, that's kind of how I felt watching it anyway. So, Alex.
The Country Girl is really unremarkable in a lot of ways. I'm sat here struggling to remember anything about it. I looked up my Letterboxd review for it. Very unhelpful. Apparently Grace Kelly spends a majority of the movie trying to be Bing Crosby's mom, and I thought that was whatever state of mind I was in, I thought that was really annoying. And I also I sitting here now, I do think it's really funny to cast Grace Kelly as, oh, I'm just the girl from the country, just, from wherever. It's a little silly. I don't get Best Actor or Best Actress win for this. Bing Crosby also got an acting nomination for this, and I think that's also quite silly. He's fine, but it's not. Given 50 other movies from this year, I'm sure we could have probably picked some as good and potentially many that were better. It's a movie. They made it. It falls under the this could have been a radio drama, and you would have saved a lot more money.
Also,
yeah,
I was kind of expecting it to be like a country setting movie instead of a New York play movie, which kind of threw me off at first. But no, that's just a little fun tidbit, I guess. But anyway, your Best Actor winner.
Yeah, no, I was gonna kind of make the same point of like, I know I've complained in the past about some titles. Yeah, The Country Girl. I don't know if that's really fitting. It's more like The Alcoholic Boy, but okay. Anyways,
Not wrong.
uh, but yeah, for my best actor movie, I chose On the Waterfront, which I mean that it was a blind spot type of movie, kind of going into that week because it's very. I've heard a lot about it. I've seen a lot of clips. The iconic quote of like, "I could have been a contender" or whatever. Like I've seen that like so many times. So it was kind of interesting going into this movie. I really didn't know much about it otherwise, though. Kind of went into it fairly blind. But kind of general plot synopsis. It stars Marlon Brando as Terry, and he essentially kind of witnesses this murder and later connects with the dead man's sister. And it kind of has to do with their dynamic and just kind of his overall struggles as a human. And by far he's the standout. And I definitely think this is an best actor winning performance. Absolutely. Like Marlon Brando has some of the best screen presence I've ever seen from anyone. Like there is just something about this guy that you just can't take your eyes off him. And that's kind of been my experience in every movie I've seen of his, which I will admit hasn't been a lot, but yeah, he was absolutely incredible in this. And it was interesting as like an audience member that we know that she's kind of connected to the dead man's like that they're brother and sister, but like they don't all know that information. So I kind of like going into movies that way. Like she doesn't know who he really is type of thing. But yeah, no, I thought this was great. I definitely would like to rewatch it at some point because sometimes when we're doing this challenge, it's a lot of movies, and I feel like I don't always get to like get them like fully sunk in for me. But yeah, this is great.
Yeah, I love this movie. It's one of my favorite of the decade, like of the all of the 50s. I think it's got one of the greatest best actor wins period with Marlon Brando here. I think he's phenomenal. He's got a lot of great great lines, great monologues. The "I could have been a contender" monologue is iconic for a reason. Carl Malden has like one of the best monologues of like classic film in this. I can't recall it's in one of Caleb Boatman's reviews for this movie, and you know what? It's a great monologue. So if you want to remember that, just check that review out. I think Carl Malden is almost like he's right up there with Marlon Brando for me for performances in this movie. He's incredible. Eva Marie Saint is really solid. She's probably my best supporting actress winner that year. She's great. Yeah, it's just it's a really powerful film. It's got some really heartbreaking scenes. I didn't get a chance to rewatch it for this challenge, but I rewatched it like recently enough because we covered it for Picture This a few months ago. But yeah, it's a great win, great best actor win. Alex?
Yeah, I think of all of the movies that I've seen Marlon Brando in, I think this is probably his strongest performance. I don't really like Marlon Brando as an actor. I think his closest analog today is like Russell Crowe, who like kind of just is getting by as an actor. And I think On the Waterfront, I think at this point, Brando had already it was early if you look at his filmography, but he was a he was a fairly named actor. He'd already been in like Julius Caesar. He had already done Streetcar, I think, at this point. It's like people knew who Brando was, and Brando notoriously was like kind of a lazy guy. So I'm not really like the biggest Brando fan, but I think this is his strongest performance. I agree. Carl Malden is excellent, and I also really like Lee J. Cobb, who I think is kind of a forgotten, like, fantastic actor. I don't think enough people talk about Lee J. Cobb. Eva Marie Saint is quite good, but it's the movie is very good. I just struggle to call it great, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, we will move on to the next set of movies. Let's get the oof out of the way. Alex.
We should have just started with me. Well, here's the problem with me introducing these movies is that the intro will be generally entertaining. So like, yeah. So The King and I and Anastasia, two actually kind of thematically related movies. You're kind of dealing with the nobility, and you're also dealing with a lot more Yul Brennan, than Yul Brenner than no, it's not
I-
far.
Bar.
You're dealing with a lot more Yul Brenner than you're used to. And as it turns out, Yul Brenner's not very good in either movie. The King and I is I think it's still fairly famous. I don't know how popular it's going to be in the coming years, but I think at this point it's still probably fairly famous. The story of a teacher that is brought to Siam, or at least someone looked up Siam in a book, and they were like, "I got it from here." Like they didn't go to Siam; they went to a soundstage somewhere, and they were like, "Let's do some painting." And then they dressed up a bunch of people in what they thought the colors might be of the people in Siam, and they were like, "All right, you're a school teacher, you're the king. The rest of you, wives and kids. Find me some British people. Write me a song. Write me one song that everyone will know." And then they were like, "All right, call it a day." No more thought went into that movie. It's not good. In fact, I thought it was very bad. They did do quite a good job on the costumes, and the sets are quite nice to look at. But you can clearly tell that it's not real. The set doesn't it's cardboard. Like you can tell it's like the walls are cardboard. There's nothing behind them. It's not like solid. There's just, what is supposed to be like marble is like, I know that's a wall. Like I know that what that is actually. And then Anastasia is the allegedly probably untrue story of the finding of the lost Romanov princess. I called it Anastasia for months, and I didn't realize that that's how it actually was pronounced. I was being like a jerk, call it like saying Anastasia. I didn't realize that's how it actually was going to be pronounced in the movie. So go me. It is a very drab look at teaching someone to be someone who might already be that person. If I've made it sound interesting, it isn't. The best part is a lead performance by Ingrid Bergman, who is struggling to get any kind of interest into the movie, but she is fighting against the forces of everyone else being really boring. It's actually really interesting to think of, like, you're dealing with nobility, and in Anastasia specifically, it's a problem. Nobody is interested in it. Like all the nobility, or they're also used to this lifestyle. But like when Yul Brenner comes and he's dealing with royalty, he's not like, "Wow, look at all this. This is crazy, isn't it?" They're all like, "Yep, Tuesdays." Which I don't know why I find that really annoying in movies. Like even when it's just Yul Brenner and Ingrid Bergman, he's not like, "Wow, you look amazing in that dress." It's just, "All right, let's get in there. We got this. Go team." And there's just something inherently fake about that. Because I know people compliment each other. They had compliments in the 50s. Like I'm pretty sure we didn't make that up a couple of years ago. They had compliments in the 50s.
Oh, this was the 1910s, though.
Well, sure, but they knew what they were when they were writing the screenplay. I don't know. It's I find both of them really irksome movies for different ways. I think they're largely missable. Like if you're following one of our recommendations, probably not mine this time. Not this week. Other weeks, I mean, sure. I don't know what's happening. But yeah.
wait. um, okay. So, The King and I.
Hmm.
I I had heard it was like not great, but like not the worst movie ever. I oh boy, oof. There's so many things that I was just watching, and I'm just thinking to myself, nope, don't like that. They darkened Rita Moreno's skin again for this. I was not a fan of that either. Look, I can take like just generally inoffensive musical that has like a certain like it's got its issues, but like I can get invested in the music if it's interesting. I can get invested in the performances. There's nothing for me to latch onto here except some pretty costume design, really. Yul Brenner is kind of bad, and that's saying something because he's excellent in Anastasia, which he was also probably could have been nominated for lead actor for that, and I wouldn't have complained. But he won for this, which is insane because he beat two performances from Giant, which I haven't seen that movie, but I've heard nothing but incredible things about that film. So I was just I'm a little confused there. One of them being James Dean and his posthumous nomination. Thank God Deborah Kerr lost Best Actress this year, because that would have been upsetting if Ingrid Bergman giving one of her best performances didn't win for Anastasia. Before I move on to that movie, though, I just want to say thank you to my high school for not picking this musical to do ever, because I can tell you right now, and this is a joke specifically for Holzman and the man of many scarves, Chris. There is a person who I used to live with who absolutely would have done everything he could to be Yul Brenner's character in that, and I have so many issues with that for so many reasons. It's just I couldn't get behind this movie, and then after I watched it, I went upstairs. I talked to my family. I'm like, yeah, I just watched two movies. One we'll get to later, and the other was The King and I. And Lily, who's not paying attention, she's just sitting at the counter doing her painting or whatever she's doing. Pops her head up, looks back, and goes, "The King and I?" I'm like, "Yes." She's like, "I love that movie." I'm like, "No, wait, you've seen this movie?" She goes, "Yeah, etc., etc., etc." Like Yul Brenner does several times in that movie. And I'm just like, "No, Lily, what are you doing?" Anyway, bad movie. Don't watch it. Yul Brenner has a better performance in Anastasia, which and also apparently he's Ramesses in the Ten Commandments, which now I have to see this movie, even though I've never seen it before, despite growing up in the house I've grown up in. Anyway, Ingrid Bergman, Anastasia, a far better performance than Deborah Kerr in The King and I. This is legitimately one of Bergman's best performances. She's got such a vulnerability in this performance that is really really interesting to see. I think it's like top 5 of her performances that I've seen. The costume design in this movie is gorgeous. Gorgeous. The production design is great. The supporting performances are all a lot of fun, especially from, I believe her name's Helen Hayes. She plays the Duchess or the Empress, whatever her role is. You've got Akeem Tamaroff, who is a lot of fun in his little supporting role. It's just it's not one of the greatest movies you'll ever watch, but watch it for Bergman's performance alone, because that is one of my favorite best actor wins of this era, or best actress wins of this era. Phenomenal performance. Really love it. Melissa.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add, but I do think it's an interesting through line, like Alex was kind of alluding to, that like it's kind of these two historical kind of dramas, but let's make them 1950s Hollywood eyes. And yeah, I mean, Anastasia, like the movie's very forgettable. Like I literally don't remember anything from that movie. Like the only thing is, I feel like Bergman's performance was really good. That was like my only takeaway. And you know, I watched this one several weeks ago at this point, and I don't remember anything else. I just remember her being great. So I would agree with what Jack just said. Like, watch it for her performance, but you know, you'll blink and probably forget it. And then
That's
the and then The King and I was a very like it was a very conflicting rewatch for me. This was a movie I definitely grew up watching quite a bit. It was one that was like on replay at my grandma's house, and my grandma always liked like these kind of musical, like Sound of Music, King and I, all those type of kind of 50s 60s musicals. I feel like were on repeat at her house, so it's like I kind of had like this nostalgic feeling going into it, and then it's just like as I'm watching, I'm like, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So yeah, I would say probably the main takeaway from The King and I is, yeah, the costumes are incredible, and I will say the play that they do, it's pretty incredible, kind of just like the technique and kind of how they were able to achieve that. But it's no The Red Shoes, which that will always be the best version of that type of thing in a movie, which I know we haven't watched yet, but
we'll get there.
something to look forward to. And yeah, Yul Brynner's acting in The King and I is hands on hips.
That's it. That's all the acting.
So
yeah,
anyways, that's about it.
yeah, that's fair. Yes. So all
Exactly.
the rest of musicals.
Yeah. My grandma was all about those growing up. Yeah.
We did the Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella in my grade 12 year, and that was fun. But you know, I don't really have anything else to say about their musicals other than that. We'll move on to my pick for this one. I picked Cyrano de Bergerac and Born Yesterday. This was one I was really looking forward to. I'll start with Cyrano de Bergerac because I want to finish with Born Yesterday, which is the one I really want to talk about. I'm just going to say it right off the bat. Jose Ferrer is so good in Cyrano de Bergerac. I don't know if I give him Best Actor for this over William Holden for Sunset Boulevard, which I think is just a phenomenal performance, but it is way closer than it should be. Ferrer is he is chewing the scenery in this movie. You've got some great scenes, like at the beginning when he's at the theater. You've got some awesome duels that happen in this movie, some awesome sword fights. It's batshit insane for the first like 40 minutes, and it's just really wickedly entertaining. Had a great time watching this movie. It's just unfortunate that this movie had to come out the same year as Sunset Boulevard. But anyway, it's a movie that I don't think it would work as well if Ferrer wasn't as good as he was in it. That is a movie that rests solely on his shoulders, and if he falters, the movie falters with it. So like another movie to watch for the lead performance alone, pretty much, but like it's a really fun time.
Yeah, I thought the set design was really great, and like I don't know, the costumes and the dialogue. Like I thought it did have a lot of aspects that I really liked. I think I may enjoy it more on a rewatch. I think going into it, I was like a little skeptical, but then as it went on, I was finding myself really enjoying it. I would agree though, it really, like, if his performance wasn't there, then I think the movie's fairly weak. Because he's definitely like the strongest aspect, but I do think there's other things to enjoy, and yeah, I would like to revisit it at some point because I feel like I kind of maybe missed a few things that I think I might catch more on a rewatch.
That's fair. Alex, thoughts on Cyrano de Bergerac?
It's a lot of fun. It just falls under that category of like just like a really fun, like energetic movie. I it's I think I talked earlier about general silliness, like the nose that they picked for Jose Ferrer to wear the entire movie is like absurd. And not even like I know that Cyrano is supposed to have some kind of like thing. Like they made a version recently with Peter Dinklage in that he's a dwarf. You could have picked any, like you could have prosthetics his nose off and that would have been more reasonable. I'm honestly I'm gonna bring General a lot of, you're gonna be saluting a lot more. Yeah, that's the only thing that I think kind of kills it for me, is that every time I look at Jose Ferrer, he's delivering these like cool speeches. He's like this really like bombastic swashbuckling guy with like a, he's always spouting off poetry, but he's doing it with this like Pinocchio situation going off. And he just really kind of hurt. Like, I think it hurts the movie a little bit. Just like a little bit. Other than that, it's like pretty fun. The production's there. They got some like silly costumes. They wrote the speeches. It's fine. It's good. I like it.
Yeah. I just want to. Okay. Now for the one that is the reason I. Oh, hi, Spence. Salute General a lot. Damn it, Alex. Okay. The reason I picked this year specifically, Judy Holliday wins Best Actress for Born Yesterday. And I'm not going to lie to you. I wish I was more upset about this win than I am, because she's great. Does she deserve the win? No. She's my fourth favorite out of the 4 nominated performances I've seen for this class. However, that's not to say she's not great, because the 3 others she's up against are Anne Baxter and Bette Davis for All About Eve, and Gloria Swanson for Sunset Boulevard, which is an all-star lineup. And she won. Totally understand, but I'm not mad, or as mad as I wish I was, because she's got some really fun moments from the moment you first see her. Like, Broderick Crawford is like screaming across the hotel, "Billy!" She opens the window and just screams out, "What?" Her voice is like what's her name? What's her name from Singing in the Rain? Lena.
Lena.
Yeah.
It's pretty much that, but the whole movie, and you just can't help but fall in love with this character. She's so just she's not necessarily the smartest person in the room all the time, but she's just so I can't think of the word. She just has this innocence about her that's really really sweet. This just this optimism that's really contagious. And Broderick Crawford is such an ass in this movie. It kind of makes you love Billy Dawn. Billy Dawn, that's her name. Billy Dawn Moore. Judy Holliday, great performance. I wish it came out literally any other year. But yeah, no. And then I haven't seen Eleanor Parker for Caged, but that's the last one I have to watch for that class. Great performance. I'm glad I picked this one, because I had a lot of fun with the movie. The movie itself isn't great. Her performance is great, but the movie itself is kind of just it's fine. It's just a generally like okay movie, but her performance makes it good. She's the best part of the movie for sure. Anyway, someone, please.
Yeah, your through line for your both of your picks is kind of like the lead or the winning performance is like the best part of the movie. And the rest of the movie is fairly forgettable, which I would agree also with this one with Born Yesterday. Yeah, no, I pretty much anytime she was not on screen, I was like, all right, when is she coming back? Like, I want her to come back. And then like I just felt like, yeah, every line that came out of her mouth was like iconic as hell, and it is really fascinating that kind of this comedic, kind of over the top performance in a way, kind of won over all the people that you just mentioned. Because I feel like kind of old Hollywood or classic Hollywood, it's very much those dramatic performances, like the Grace Kelly one that I had for this week, like feel like it's more those type of performances that tend to be like celebrated. So it is interesting that this comedic performance kind of broke out in one amongst that specific crew too. So that's really interesting. Yeah, no, this was a lot of fun. It definitely was giving me Lena Lamont vibes for sure, with that squeaky voice. Yeah, I would gladly watch this again just because of her performance. Like she was just so much fun and had such a likability to her, even if like, yeah, she's maybe not quote unquote the smartest person or whatever, but a lot of fun.
Yeah. Also, one thing too is my favorite like moment in the movie is when she's screaming at Broderick Crawford and she's like, "You're just so," and then she walks over to the dictionary, flips through the page, and then she walks back to him and just screams, "Antisocial!" It's like
Antisocial.
so funny. I love it. This is a movie that I can watch again and I will not complain.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is like kind of George Cukor's MO, is there will always like he will always find the funny in it. He will always find the funny in whatever situation he's like going for. This movie would be much better if she didn't have that voice. This movie would be like a full half star, like at least a half star better if she didn't have that voice the entire time. It would be fine if she was just like a little ditzy. That would be, yeah, sure. You didn't have that kind of learnings. That's fine. Doesn't matter. But having that voice really, I had to turn it down at because she yells a lot. Like it's not just that she has that voice, it's that she has that voice and she's screaming with Broderick Crawford a lot. It's funny. It's cute. It could be, you know, I don't think they explored everything. That there's a subplot with like the shady business dealings of Broderick Crawford, and it's like, okay, sure. But yeah, it's fine. There's a theory that like all of the serious performances of you know, the All About Eve and the Sunset Boulevards kind of like canceled each other out, and the only thing standing there in like decidedly like third or fourth place, but they're like it was like the only one that was different. And like, so Judy Holliday got it and she was just like, sure, great. I can't believe it.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, I don't know. It's fine. It's
also, if you're interested in this Best Actress race specifically, absolutely find the book Oscar Wars, because there's a whole chapter that's dedicated to this Best Actress race, and it's
okay,
kind of wild. Probably my favorite part of that book, if I'm being honest. Anyway, we will move on to the next one, which was a film by Charlie Chaplin.
This is gonna be easy.
This one was easy because you know what? We all picked the same movie, The Great Dictator. Alex, I guess you, sure. Melissa kicked us off the last time. You can do it this time.
The Great Dictator, one of like 3 Charlie Chaplin movies that I could confidently name off the top of my head. I don't really dig a whole lot of silent film, so this was the obvious choice for me. It is actually the story of 2 different people. One is a barber. The other is the Great Dictator. They look suspiciously alike, although there is no. The movie very very early tells you that there is. It is just a coincidence that these two look alike. There is nothing. There is nothing sinister or weird about it. It is just these two people happen to look alike. One is a Jewish barber. The other is a totally not Nazi. He's a Nazi, but they give it a different name. He's totally not German. It's a squint kind of German. And it's actually really funny the entire time. It's I'd say it's about 80% comedy, 20% drama. There are Nazis in it, and you do have to kind of address that at some points in time. There is a fair, violence toward Jewish people. But other than that, the Nazis are portrayed as like a goof. Like they keep coming up with inventions that don't work and it just kills people. There are like Nazis that are like, well, this one saved my life, so we can't kill this one. And then there's like power trips among the about with like this specific Jewish guy. He's like, well, I just hit Nazis now, which I think you should. If you see a Nazi, punch him. I wish you hadn't started with me, because I am going to say my unpopular opinion about this movie now is that it all kind of culminates in a like trading places kind of situation where the barber has to give an address as the dictator. And he's like, I'm about to end this whole man's career. And it ends in a very obvious, like 3-part speech. And the middle part, which is the most famous part, I really hated the middle part, where he's like looking directly into the camera and he like sits down and he's like, all right, baby, time to win my acting, time to win my Oscar. That part is not good. I know that's the part that people like most. I think the part where he's like dismantling this ideology is like fairly good, but honestly, I think this movie ends on a really good note, and that is this girlfriend character who's in the countryside. I wish they had just skipped the middle bit. You don't need it. You are just hammering a nail that is in the wall already. And if for a movie that is, again, I said like 80% comedy, you're really killing the vibe. You're really killing the mood for this otherwise fairly comedic movie with like 3 moments of like, oh right, the Nazis, right? Yeah, there's Nazis. Yeah, you're right. It is very good. Charlie Chaplin, as the 2 roles, is really funny. More so actually as the dictator than as the barber. The barber is actually like a fairly serious character that funny things just happen to. But the dictator is actually the character that is actually bringing the most like jokes to it. Like, all right, he's gonna come through this door. He's gonna sit in this chair that is higher, so he has to look up at me because I'm, whatever. And then he comes in behind him, and he's like, ah. It's like it's like situational in like a very silent movie kind of way. I think though, all the trial and error of the silent movie stuff is gone, so they just have what works. So this is like a real pro. It's like a real pro take at some of these kind of skills.
Yeah, I think it's just crazy to think that this movie got made. That's just something I thought about like before even watching this movie, because I knew a little bit about it. I knew, of course, the speech, like, because I feel like if you grew up in the YouTube era, there was like that speech kind of that went viral of this movie, and like, so I'd seen that like growing up, but I hadn't seen the movie obviously until this challenge. So it's just like very interesting to think about like how did this movie get made? It's kind of insane that it got made, but I love it. I really did enjoy my time watching this. I would say like criticisms is like, yeah, I thought the runtime was a bit long for like kind of what you were saying, Alex. Like I just felt like it was kind of the same things over and over again a little bit. Like it just felt a little repetitive. I think some things could have been cut to make it a little bit more tighter and just more concise. I will say a scene I did like that wasn't necessary, but I just liked it, was like it was kind of like a ballet kind of sequence with the globe.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I just thought that was like, I don't know, I enjoyed it, but do we need it? I don't know, maybe not. So I don't know. This movie's interesting. I think it's almost like just the fact that it got made, just it kind of amazes me almost more than the movie itself in a way. But yeah, I mean, I think I almost wish it went even more comedic and then just had like the speech or something. I don't know. I was having a hard time with the tone because I felt like it was switching a lot and I was getting a little bit confused. I'm like, wait, is this a comedy? Is this serious? I got a little confused on like what the tone was and the message a little bit in the middle there. But overall, I think it's definitely worth your time. Like I thought it was solid.
Yeah. The tone is the only thing really that keeps it from being a 5-star movie because it's very uneven. However, I don't have issues with like the rest of it, if I'm being honest. I think Chaplin didn't win Best Actor for this, which is upsetting because he was nominated, but James Stewart won his apology Oscar for the Philadelphia Story. It should have either gone to Chaplin or Fonda for The Grapes of Wrath. But whatever. Chaplin is fantastic. That final, like that speech at the end there is like one of the great scenes in classic cinema. It's phenomenal. I've got nothing really to add to it other than just, man, Chaplin fucking kills it in this. This is a fantastic film. Just the tone is a little uneven and some at points it could have been perfect, but it's one that I might not have such an issue with on rewatch. We'll see. But yeah, for the most part, incredible film. Just that one minor issue with it. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. Film featuring Audrey Hepburn. I'll start this one off. I picked Wait Until Dark. I finally saw the movie, and thank you for recommending it to me because I really dug this movie. I will say, there are times, specifically when the two guys are cornering Alan Arkin with the chair and the other thing, like towards the beginning of the movie, that you can tell this is a guy who did like Connery and or Roger Moore Bond movies. Just it has that kind of vibe at times, but it's not. It didn't like hurt the movie in any way. It's just I remembered that Terrence Young directed it in those moments. Audrey Hepburn is so good in this movie. Wrote is terrifying. Like I never thought I would say the words "holy shit." Alan Arkin is kind of terrifying in this, but here we are. Alan Arkin is giving a great performance. It's a little like it's a little off-putting at times, but I think that's exactly what what it needed. I just thought this was it's almost a single location movie. Like there's times when you're out of the apartment or the room, the place where Hepburn lives, whatever it is. It's like a basement suite, I guess, because they're kind of in a basement. Anyway, it is a very tense, very thrilling film, and I didn't really have any major issues with it. Hepburn's phenomenal, but I just have one question. what is it about little children in Audrey Hepburn movies being just little pieces of shit? I'm sorry. Gloria is terrible. I hate Gloria.
Okay.
And it's just it's just so annoying. Anyway, wrote. Yeah. Yeah. That is accurate. Also, that haircut also is kind of unsettling too. That bowl cut he has, it looks weird on Alan Arkin, and I don't like it. Anyway, someone else, please save me. Rambling.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a solid thriller. I do think the first 2/3 is pretty clunky. Of it, like a script. I don't know. It's hard for me to like get engaged because this was a rewatch for me, and I don't know. Like, I don't find the first 2/3 of the movie engaging at all. Like, I think it's not that great. It's it's the last final act that like I'm like, oh, this is why I like this movie. Like, I don't know the story. I can't get quite invested in it. I was curious to see how it would play on a rewatch. I felt about the same. Like, it's just kind of like, what are we doing here for like the first 2/3 of the film, and then yeah, the final act, and like I feel like that's where Audrey really gets to shine, and I think her performance is really great. Yeah, it's very tense, and claustrophobic and feeling, and yeah, so I like the last part of the movie a lot. I don't really like the first 2/3. That's kind of where I'm with it.
That's totally fair. The first 2/3 are definitely the weakest, but I think the third act pays it off like super well. Alex?
This movie really hits a nerve with me because like I know both in at home and at work, I know where everything is where I want it. Like I know where everything is supposed to be. Even if it's just that belongs on the floor, that's where that goes. If I ever need it, I look to that spot on the floor right there. So that feeling of someone has been in your room, that feeling of someone has like touched your things is like a real problem for me. So that like the concept of like, and this is something that I spent a lot of time with as a kid, is like the concept of a closed door that someone might be behind is a real, like my closet door is open right now just so I know there's no one there. And I can see, like I am aware, I can see. So this movie like really hit like a nerve. I really like this movie. It's I think the earliest example that I've seen, at least so far, of like let's mess with this person because of like this person is blind, so let's like we can mess with them easier. Um what is that other, what is that movie that they recently made a sequel for? Don't Breathe is another one of those where like they think like, oh, this is going to be easy because this person is blind, this will be easy, and it's a really gripping thriller that I think some people might not think it like. It's a gripping thriller to me because I need to know, like I need to know that everything is as I left it. um at a bar. uh so it really works for me, although I will wonder how many people will like connect to it.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I'm just it took me a minute to process what Bar was saying, and now I find it rather funny. Alex, we'll stick with you for now.
Oh dear. Yeah. No surprise, I went with the obvious crime pick. I wish I hadn't, kind of. How to Steal a Million. It is the story of con people, kind of. This kind of family of cons. They sell loan, doesn't matter. A statue to this museum. They're going to put it on display, and then they get word that there is an inspection coming, and in that inspection, they will no doubt find that it's a fake. It's, they made it themselves. It's a good fake, but it's not, it's not perfect. So then they have to try and steal it back with help from a person that just, how you do. Someone breaks into your house, you recruit them for the job. You've seen Fast and the Furious.
Nope.
That's, you know what? Don't.
That's impressive.
Don't. You're not missing anything. Don't. You saw How to Steal a Million. It doesn't matter. Along the way, it's fine. It's fine the entire time. I don't know what really to tell you about How to Steal a Million. It is the drab great grandmother of Ocean's 8. That's I've been holding on to that bullet for a minute. Since I saw, I was like, this is a very dumb Ocean's 8, and I don't love Ocean's 8. I think the highest compliment I can give How to Steal a Million is that my mother would really like it. Gilda would be all about How to Steal a Million. If you ever need to kill time, with an older woman, just be like, hey, I've got this Audrey Hepburn movie. Were you alive when Audrey? It doesn't matter. You'll like it. Yeah, it's fine. Audrey Hepburn's fine. Who's the guy? Peter O'Toole. Peter O'Toole doing his best James Bond impression. Which is it's fine. It's fine. I like Ocean's 8. I just think my mom likes it more than me. My mom really likes Sandy. My mom really likes Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, so fun fact, I've never seen any of the Ocean's movies, and I've never seen a Fast and Furious.
Only watch 8.
That's honestly impressive.
It's the best one. That's the best one.
I have not
Ocean's
seen
11
either
is-
of those franchises.
Yeah, I haven't seen the Ocean's movies other than Ocean's 11. How to Steal a Million? Fun time. Here's the thing. I think Peter O'Toole is really fun in this. He's giving a really fun performance. I find that when he's not just monotone and doing a very quiet and honestly kind of drab and boring performance, I really like Peter O'Toole.
That'd be amazing. Pop out.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Peter O'Toole's great. The alarm sequence, the sequence where he's setting off the alarm over and over again, it's so fun. I have a lot of fun with that every time. I had a lot of fun with that every time the alarm went off and shit went in. Everyone lost their shit. It was a fun time. I don't love the first act of this movie, but once everything is set in motion, then I start vibing with it. Not one of Hepburn's better performances, but definitely solid. And I am gonna I'll be right back. Melissa.
Okay. I hope everything's okay. Yeah, out of the 3 Audrey movies for this week, this one was my favorite. I thought I had the most fun watching it, and crazy, she actually has good chemistry with the love interest, I guess, even though it's not necessary, of course, but of course they have to add that layer to this movie. But because I feel like every movie I've seen so far of Audrey Hepburn, it's an older man and they have not a lot of chemistry. So I loved that I actually got to see chemistry between her and the love interest. But no, this movie is just fun. It was easy to watch. I feel like it's a good popcorn movie. I would actually recommend this one, I think, to the normies, you know, outside of this community. Like, just watch this movie. It's a fun little romp. Like, I don't know, it was a good time.
Yeah.
Gave me
And
Shrek
also-
Charade vibes in that way, I guess. Like, that's another one that I would like recommend to like people outside of the community. That's just like, this is a good movie. Like, it's solid.
That's fair. Yeah, I think this might be the only time ever Audrey Hepburn got to be older than her love interest, which is interesting. I didn't realize she was older than Peter O'Toole by like 3 years, till I did the math. Anyway, same. Anyway, we'll move on now to Melissa's pick.
Ooh.
Melissa, let's talk about Breakfast at Tiffany's.
So when you think of Audrey Hepburn, I feel like she's like associated with this movie, with Breakfast at Tiffany's, and so it was a huge blind spot kind of in my movie watching. So I had to pick it for this week. I was like, okay, it's time. Yeah, it's a movie. I feel like I understand people loving it the way that they do, but I feel like it's because I think you have to watch this movie at like a certain age, and it kind of sticks with you. Seeing this for the first time as a 31-year-old woman, you know, it didn't really land for me. Yeah, it's very overrated. Like, I don't know, it was a very conflicting viewing experience because I loved Holly. Like, I loved Audrey Hepburn and I loved the character of Holly. Like, I thought she was great, and like I kind of wish, like, I don't even know what my recommendation would be necessarily for the script specifically, but like the script is just kind of a mess. This movie is kind of all over the place. It's very wonky. But I felt like I was on a roller coaster ride because like it's like what, like I'd love like a certain scene and then it would, you know, go to another scene and it's like I hate everything. So it's just like, I don't know, it was a very like mixed bag movie. I really did love the song, is it Moon River? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I really did like that. And that definitely stayed with me for even like weeks after watching the movie. And yeah, I loved Holly, but and there's definitely a lot of iconic shots and lines, but I don't think it stuck the landing for me by any means. And it's just, yeah, it's very overrated and it's not a timeless classic at all.
Yeah.
For reasons, as we know.
I'll just say it. Mickey Rooney. What the fuck?
Yeah, yikes.
I don't get it. Okay. Aside from the Mickey Rooney of it all, I don't get the love for this movie. It's just, you said it was like you're on a roller coaster, like you really loved the scene, then you just hit it. It was just the slowest roller coaster for me. It's like the only thing that was keeping me somewhat invested in this movie was Hepburn, and she's great. She's definitely fantastic. Yeah, ding ding ding, Mickey Rooney. Anyway, I will say the Moon River song, really good. Not a bad Oscar win for that song at all. It's just, there's so much of this movie that just doesn't work for me. I don't find anyone else interesting or even that good. A couple of them I find pretty terrible. Just did not vibe with this movie at all. It just wasn't my thing. Maybe given some time and a rewatch down the road, I can find things I enjoyed more. But yeah, also, you know the meme from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with Leonardo DiCaprio watching his bounty law show, or the FBI show. that he was a guest star on, and he's like pointing at the TV. That's pretty much the reaction I had to when Audrey Hepburn and the dude whose name escapes me. I watched this movie this morning and I can't remember the dude's name. Where they're in like basically this. They're basically at a strip club, and the woman like opens her top, and Audrey Hepburn like tilts her sunglasses down, and that's in the opening for this for this show. I'm like, oh shit, that's what that's from. It's
Yeah.
The movie just, it didn't work for me. I don't totally like, if you watch it as a kid and you have that nostalgia for it, I get it, but like I came to this movie too late, clearly.
I like parts of this movie. But it's like The King and I all over again, where it's like, oh, you really dressed up this apartment, or you really dressed up these like characters that are like trying to be fancy. Who I really hated was the guy. I hated Paul a lot.
Yeah.
I think Paul sucks.
That's his name.
And yeah, Paul Varjak. I think he's like he has the worst chemistry with Hepburn of anybody that are in that she's been in movies with that I've seen. And he has like the worst rhetoric of all of them. Like, oh god, like Humphrey Bogart's 60 years older than Audrey Hepburn or whatever it was in that movie, and he still like treats her relatively well. Meanwhile, Paul's like, I need to own you, and I'm like, ugh. Ugh. You met her like a week ago, fam. That's not good at all. Yeah, I don't really get it. It's not like technically bad. Besides like the stuff with Mickey Rooney in it, like it's a movie, but I can't imagine watching it more than one time. Outside of like, I remember this from when I was a kid. Like I watched this when I was 12, so I really like it now that I'm 27. Like I can't imagine that at all, really. It's fine. This is probably like we're getting to the point now where I think we're gonna start giving up on our film school. Like our film school 101 takes are gonna start leaving us, and we're gonna start like our personality is gonna start seeping through here. You can already kind of tell with this week of like one of us picked the spooky movie. One of us picked the like wacky crime the wacky crime comedy. And I think honestly, Melissa, this is like I think that's like an atypical pick for you. I think you're more likely to pick the spooky picture, and Jack is way more film bro about things.
Yeah. I was a film bro this week. Sorry.
Yeah. So I don't know. A fond farewell to the people we used to be.
All right. Well, we've made it to the end, or to the last challenge for this month here. We'll start with mine. So the last challenge, week 30, was a German film, which I was quite excited about because German films tend to be very depressing, and I'm kind of fine with that. I'll just start with mine. The least interesting of the bunch. The Devil Strikes at Night. So when I was trying to figure out what movie I wanted to watch for this challenge, I was still trying to find. I was trying to figure out if any German films had won Best International Feature at the Oscars. None did, in the classic era, anyway. This one was nominated, and it was The Devil Strikes at Night. I read the brief plot synopsis: serial killer, 1944 Germany, end of World War II. It sounded interesting, so I'm like, yeah, I'll pick that. It lost to Knights of Cabrera, so like I'll watch that eventually.
So good.
Yeah, I've heard great things. Federico Fellini, back-to-back Best International Feature winner for La Strada, and then that. Pretty cool. Anyway, movie kind of sucks. It's kind of just boring. There's
The
not
the
much.
master of transitions, Jack Finch.
Yeah, this movie's kind of bad. Not bad. It's just mid as hell. There's nothing really to keep you invested, other than like some nice cinematography and some solid performances here and there. But like, I wasn't invested in this at all, which is really sad because I was looking forward to this. Just didn't click. Honestly, it could have ended 30 minutes before it did. They catch the killer, and then it keeps going, and then it keeps going, and then it's still going, and it's only 100 minutes long, but it feels longer. Was not what I was hoping. Anyway, with that in mind, Alex, Melissa, what did you think of this movie?
Pretty much the same. Like, I really don't have much to add. Like, I could not get invested in this movie, like, at all. Like, there's nothing that really hooked me. But when I like think about it on like an objective kind of way, like, there's nothing necessarily inherently wrong with the movie. It's just, yeah, it's pretty dull, it's pretty boring. Like, considering like the subject matter, I feel like I shouldn't feel that way. Like, it's like a serial killer type of situation, set in Germany, Nazi occupied, like the Nazis in Germany. Like, that sounds fairly interesting. Like the prompt or like what's happening. But yeah, it's just it's boring as hell, man. Like, I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah, Alex.
I kept waiting for a new thing to happen. Like, I was like waiting for a twist, or I was waiting for a new spin. Like, I was waiting for there to be a second killer, or the person that they thought was the killer was actually like a crazy person who just saw it. Like, I kept waiting for like a thing to like, oh god, okay, I gotta start paying better attention. Nope. It just I think you see one person be killed, and then it's just who's killing these ladies. But like, you saw it happen, so you know who the killer is. So if there's not a second killer, like, I kept waiting for like a second body to pop up. So like, for there to be like a second killer, so they were like, oh, well, that's interesting. So this guy is a killer, but he's not the killer. Like, I kept waiting for like the most basic of like Criminal Minds twists. Like, we have the guy. Well, this guy is a killer, but he's not the one we're looking for. You did catch him, but you did catch someone. We didn't catch the right guy. But instead, it's just like 3 different paintings being blasted off. Like, they keep doing this thing where like a bomb will go off because it's like the waning days of the German of Nazi Germany. It's like the walls are closing in on Nazi Germany. They don't really do anything with that besides a bomb will go off and a painting will drop. Like, that's a joke or something. Like, that's like it's like you have to be reminded of this. It doesn't lead to anything. It's also just like really weirdly written. Like, someone would be like, "Oh, thank God, it's the Gestapo." Like no one has ever said, no one has ever said in their life, "Oh, good, the Gestapo's here." Like it's just not. It's not true. Like I don't know what. It's the most aimless of the movies that we watched this month, and I very much include The King and I, which had a direction. It's just the direction was bad. The Devil Strikes at Night is like, like the first time you're like learning how to juggle and you like you're trying to figure out how to juggle, you just throw the balls in the air and then you're like, I didn't do this correctly, and you like everything just comes down. It's like that. It's like they throw the serial killer thing up in the air, they throw the Nazi Germany thing up in the air, they throw this thing where this guy's delivering potatoes in the air, they just keep throwing things, and they're like, I'll catch one of them. And then the movie ends and you're like, what are we doing? What was that? Like I think I missed the point somewhere in there. And I thought it was just going to be just me. Like I was really afraid that one of you was going to like it. like all three of us didn't understand it, which makes me feel a lot better. No, well, kind of. It's like
that's what M is.
Yeah, huh. M. Yeah, well, we'll watch M. I think at some point in the challenge.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Yeah, it's like cool. it's the Nazis trying to catch a serial killer to disprove that Nazis can have serial killers, but they don't do anything with that beyond. Like the guy, like the main guy that's looking, is not a Nazi, and the most that you get out of that is a guy going, "Oh, you're not a party member, I see. That's interesting." And he just like keeps flipping through papers. And then the movie ends and you're like, what the fuck? What are we doing? I don't know. It's not good. It's pretty bad.
Yeah. It's there's a line in that movie that made me like stop and just be like, I don't know how to tell you this, bud, but oof. Okay. There's a moment where a Nazi officer is like, could you imagine if people lost faith in the police or something like that? And I'm just like, I don't know how to tell you this. But no, no, the potato delivery scene I thought was going to be a murder scene, but then it wasn't. Just doesn't. There's scenes that kind of just start and you're like, there's going to be a murder here. And then nothing happens. It's just aimless. I didn't enjoy it.
Well, when I was like, Jack and I watched it together because as per usual, we were like slacking off the whole month, and we were like I was laughing every couple minutes. Like my hokey version is better than the movie. Than the movie that it was producing. Like I was like running circles around it. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was entertaining watching this with Alex. Too bad the movie wasn't. Anyway, Alex, we'll stick with you. We'll finish with Melissa's movie, which that's the one I'm most excited to talk about. Alex, talk about yours.
Faust. Again, this is now we're getting our like personalities are starting to shine through. Given a chance to pick a German movie, I was like, ooh, what's the one where someone makes a deal with the devil? That sounds like it's up my alley. And actually it pretty much is. Faust is the story of an alchemist who in a kind of oh god, what was that movie? Cabin in the Sky. That's it. Cabin in the Sky. Like these archdevils and one angel who apparently is who's in charge. Who's like, there's only one angel, and he has to do everything. Is they like basically make a bet over this one guy, over this old man Faust. And they're like, yeah, bet. And Faust essentially immediately, like through exactly one trial and tribulation, makes a deal with the devil. It is, I bet I can get Faust to sell his soul. And the angel's like, I don't think you can. And then 4.5 minutes later, Faust has sold his soul to the devil. And Faust gets kind of everything that people think they might want. It is in the best interest of this particular devil, Mephisto, to give Faust everything that he thinks that people might want. And in true depressing German fashion, as it turns out, all of those things are bad. You shouldn't want any of those things. And even if you get them, you'll be miserable. But it is a very stunningly shot movie. It's a silent movie. This it's done like the background score is done entirely by exactly one piano player who there's no other instrumentation that goes with, I think, any of it. It's just one piano player madly playing keys and doing an amazing job. And you just kind of follow Faust as he like traipses through mistakes, as he kind of struggles with the implications of having sold his soul to a devil. Like the townspeople turn on him right away. He has to flee. He gets made young again. He tries to find love. It doesn't go very well. This is kind of like Monkey's Paw, the movie. Like everything is like incorrect. Like everything that he wishes for, he gets in a truly incorrect kind of way that is like quintessentially German. And it starts to affect the people around him. Really, really well shot. There's some like really cool stills that you could just hang up. Like there's this amazing shot of Mephisto standing over this like, it's supposed to be the town, but it's like very clearly like Mephisto on a box standing over like a miniature set that they've built. Is that what this is?
Yes.
Yeah. And then like this, it's just beautiful. Like the shot composition for it. And then like smoke fills the room. It's just beautiful. And I should have looked up. I'm gonna look up the actor for Mephisto.
Emil Jannings, who is putting on like a fantastic like silent movie performance. Like he's acting through this, wacky costume. He's acting through the screen. He's acting into the back of your brain. He's trying to like make it as big and loud and expressive as possible. And it's really entertaining. And then I think probably the best part, my favorite part of the movie, is when Faust fucks off for the last 20 minutes, pretty much. And you just stay with a completely different character that you just met. And it's as interesting as the preceding like hour and 20, as like the immediate like hour and 20 minutes. It's as interesting and potentially more interesting because that character has also got a lot going on. And it's just someone that was impacted by Faust's decisions, showing that it's like everything that you do will connect to something else, to somebody else. And so yeah, it was delightful. That's
a German delightful.
Yeah. This movie kind of rules. Here's the thing. F.W. Murnau, like I get like people love like the Buster Keaton movies and the Charlie Chaplin silent movies. F.W. Murnau is my type of silent film director in the sense that he is just aggressively depressing all the time, and I'm kind of here for those movies. And this movie has some gorgeous visuals, some gorgeous shots, like the one we showed with Mephisto standing over the town. That shot came up, and Alex and I are just like, "Oh, I like that. I like that shot a lot. This is good. This is a good movie." The the performances are all really solid, especially from old Faust and young Faust. They're both really great. Gretchen, the actress that plays Gretchen, is great. Emil Jannings, the first person to ever win Best Actor at the Oscars, who then later went on to star in Nazi propaganda films. I'm pretty sure. Even when the movie's not about Nazis, you still got some Nazi stuff going on. When it's a German movie from this era, I guess. I don't know. He's really intimidating as Mephisto. I can't. Alex said something early on in the movie, and it just changed how I was looking at Mephisto the whole time. It's something, but no, it's.
Are you gonna tell me or tell
That's
us?
it, Jack. Don't tell him what it was. Just say that it was really good.
Okay.
Alex said.
Okay.
Alex said we want. Goes. I want a Western remake of this, and I want Mark Addy to play Mephisto. Mark Addy being the guy that plays Robert Baratheon in season 1 of Game of Thrones. And I'm just like, oh, good Lord. And that impacted how I watched Mephisto throughout the rest of the movie. Alex has the best bad ideas imaginable, and I love him for it. Yeah, no, that piano player was feasting in this movie. He was having a good time, clearly. Yeah, I had it feels weird saying I had a lot of fun with this movie, but like it's a movie that I wouldn't object to watching again, and I think it's fantastic. Melissa.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love this movie, but I will admit, I was not in the best minds set when I was watching it, and I mean, just the unfortunate truth is, for a silent movie, it kind of does demand your attention, and like, so I kind of feel like I didn't give it a full like fair shake. So I definitely would like to rewatch it again. But regardless, I still really enjoyed it, despite that. And yeah, the image that you showed later inspired the Night on Bald Mountain in Fantasia, which like you can definitely see that. And I'm sure this movie has inspired so many different filmmakers, because yeah, just I know we've already talked about it quite a bit, but yeah, just the visuals are just absolutely incredible. And the double exposure kind of stuff, and just even like the opening sequence and the fog, and yeah, all of it just really, really worked for me. It feels very like heavy metal in a way, even though it's like this depressing like German kind of story. But yeah, no, I feel like I can't speak to it too much because I feel like I need to rewatch it, and I kind of would love to actually see this in a theater, just because then it would absolutely force me to pay attention for sure, and I think that would put me in the better like mindset. Sometimes I kind of struggle with silent movies, just in general, for that reason, because it is a different style of filmmaking, and it's just I don't know, the modern age has spoiled me in different ways, and I sometimes have a hard time like having that patience and focus. So, but no, it's absolutely excellent.
Yeah, absolutely. Another silent movie I would love to see in the theater is Sunrise, A Song of Two Humans, which is another Murnau movie.
Yeah.
This is the like last like German movie that Murnau went, and his I think immediate next movie was Sunrise, A Song of Two Humans. Yeah. And you could definitely see like, yeah, these two movies were definitely made by the same director. Like no one else would be this weird. About anything.
Love it.
He's great. Love Murnau as a director. He's great. Anyway, with that, we will get on with the last movie of the month, and I'm not going to bury not to bury the lead or anything, but the best movie we watched this month. Melissa.
Yeah.
Talk about Madchen in Uniform.
I would agree. So yeah, I chose this movie because it's known as one of the first female kisses on screen, and so that really intrigued me. That's like all I really knew going into the movie. But yeah, I chose Mansion in Uniform, which means girl in uniform, and basically the plot synopsis, like at a high level, is this girl Manuela goes to this all girls boarding school, which is like the gayest boarding school ever, which I love, especially considering it's set in the 1930s. And she falls in love with her teacher, who's a woman, and yeah, like I absolutely loved this movie. I was really shocked by it. I didn't know much going into it, but like, yeah, obviously it's taboo to like have a like relationship with your teacher when you're, I think she's a minor. It doesn't
14.
ever really okay, I was like, it doesn't really specify what age, or does it? I guess
I thought they said 14. It might have been someone else in the movie.
She's definitely like a high school student. Like,
yeah, she's a high school student for sure.
So like obviously that's a bit taboo, but like but I think why it really works, regardless of that, is like I feel like the connection that they have with each other ultimately is fairly innocent. Like nothing really happens. Like the kiss that happens is more the teacher saying goodnight to all the students. She goes around and kisses everyone, but she kisses her on the lips, and it definitely has these like innuendos that like maybe something more is going on, but it never shows us that per se. And like, I don't know, I just feel like there's still like this sense of like innocence with it, which I think really works. And I think the teacher is more a symbol of like this new age of thinking versus like the headmistress is like this old way of thinking. I think it's bigger than the movie, I guess. Like I don't really think of it as like, oh, she's in love with her teacher. I think it's like this bigger conversation of like two ways of thinking, type of thing. But yeah, this was so much fun. I just a scene to talk about really quick, and then I'll be quiet for a moment. But I loved this scene where all the girls get drunk after the play. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. And I also love one of the kind of side characters, Ilsa, I think that's how you pronounce it. She was the one with like the blunt like cut, and she was just so spunky and sassy, and I just loved her attitude and like just the hijinks that she kind of gets in, and definitely like the comedic relief of the movie. But yeah, this was absolutely fantastic, and I desperately want to now watch there's a remake in 1958. So I really want to watch that one now too, because I'm a fan.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a movie that I was not emotionally prepared for. It's kind of a heavy movie at times, especially in those last 20 minutes. There's not a single bad performance in this movie. Every single person is like perfect in it. The teacher's great. My favorite performance has to be Manuela, I believe her name was in the movie. Main girl. Just such a beautiful and restrained performance. I don't want to say I had a lot of fun with this movie. I think this movie is phenomenal. I'm gonna reevaluate where it is on my like first time watches of the year list, because it's gonna go up like it has to. The more I think about it, the more I love it. It's only like 88 minutes long, which is really it's really nice actually.
Love that.
Yeah, love that. The last like 20 minutes are like perfection. The moment where the headmistress is like, I forbid you to say one more word to her, and then she immediately leaves her office and walks up to Manuela and goes, "Hey, meet me in my room. I have to talk to you for a sec." And then after they talk in her room, and Manuela leaves, the headmistress is walking towards the teacher's room, and she's like, you just disobeyed what I told you to do. She's like, yeah, the fuck are you gonna do about it? Basically.
Yeah.
It's I love that teacher. She's great in this movie. It's one that I want to watch again because I do have trouble at times with subtitle movies and like catching everything that's said because I'm like trying to both pay attention to what's happening on the screen and read the subtitles at the same time. And I'm not the fastest reader in general. However, it's one that definitely impacted me. And I want to rewatch it. Plus, it's only 88 minutes, so it's like not going to be too difficult to find time if I can get all the movies I have to watch before that out of the way. So, yay, Alex.
Yeah, this movie is fantastic. Kind of a cool exploration of what it is that people actually need. I never did it personally, but I know several people that went through the boarding school experience, and one of the things that they mention is that like no, but like there is not a sense of like general warmth, like from the, and they're not like really supposed to be like exceptionally warm, but like your days are, you do your chores, you know, work at the school doing whatever, and then you do your classes, then you go to bed. There's not like time to, you know, whatever. But what this movie is like kind of showing is like what it is that people like actually need. They need a sense of community. They need clothes. They're like constantly repairing their clothes. They need entertainment. They need food. They're like really, one of their main problems is we really need food. we would really like some different food. And I think the, you know, most importantly, what people need affection of some kind. And I think that's really what the relationship between Manuela and Miss von Bernberg, the main teacher, that, you know, is that like these girls do, like, she does kiss all of these girls, and the like the camera goes around to all of them, and some of them are like, great, good night, and then some of them are like sitting up in their bed like, this one's my turn, it's mine, yes, okay, I'm ready. Like, it just like, and different people have different needs like that. The girls are all cool with each other. They make fun of each other sometimes, but they're like all like, they have their own little community. They have like their system worked out. And I think it would have been really easy for them to have like, for them to be like shitty to like one of them. Like this would be like a thing now if they like remade it this year. There would be like a couple of girls that the main girls would be like shitty to, just because you're new here or you're this or that, whatever. There's like one scene where they tease a girl about one thing and then they move on. They never bring it up again because they're like, all right, we got that out of our system. But yeah, it's just like a really like charming movie. It's also one where like a couple of different people could have been the lead. Like the teacher could have been the lead. You spend a lot of time with Manuela, but also Ilsa. Like Manuela leaves the movie for like minutes at a time, and you're not with Miss Vaughn. You know, you're not with the teacher. You're with Ilsa. You're with a lot of these other girls. I really liked Ilsa. And they do teenager things. They like sneak alcohol in and get drunk. And I don't like, they didn't know that they were getting drunk. Like someone spikes this punch and then they get like they get messed up. And it's like funny because they've never been drunk before. They all get way too drunk and they start saying stuff that they absolutely shouldn't be saying. Yeah, it's just like it's a really nice movie. And a neat way, a neat meaning like like tightly wrapped bow kind of neat way to handle its subject matter.
Yeah, completely agree. And I wish people talked about it more. I really have not heard much of anything of this movie.
I'd never heard of this movie.
This has got to be one of my favorite movies from the 30s. It's incredible.
I'd always heard that Dietrich had the first kiss with a woman, but like that woman isn't in the rest of that movie.
Yeah, and plus that was like a year before this came out.
Right. So yeah, if you get a chance, please watch Mädchen in Uniform. I wonder if we're saying it correctly. I don't know.
Mädchen in Uniform.
I think so.
Sure.
I don't know.
Bar, you're German. Please help.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the show for this month. Our next episode will be on September 1st, 9 p.m. EST, assuming everything goes to plan. The challenges for this upcoming month that we're already in are a film released in 1943, a film by Powell and Pressburger, which I'm very excited for that because that's when we get to watch A Matter of Life and Death, and I've been looking forward to that for a while. A film featuring Jack Lemmon, a documentary, and a film that takes place over the course of 24 hours. So the last question before we leave: what movie are you most excited to watch for the challenge next month, or this month, I guess? I think it's pretty easy for me. It's A Matter of Life and Death. It has to be.
Did we all pick A Matter of Life and Death?
We did.
Okay.
We did, but I kind of cheated and I bought it on Criterion earlier this year, and I might have already watched it, but we'll just pretend that didn't happen.
Fair.
Cool.
Totally fair.
Again, we're going wacky comedies. I am really excited to watch How to Murder Your Wife.
The Jack Lemmon movie you picked.
No obvious reason. Sometimes you just pick a movie based on the title, because you think this is probably going to be for me. Yeah, we're going to be watching How to Murder Your Wife, and that should be a great time. I can already tell you this is going to be weird and fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a time.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, I'm probably, besides A Matter of Life and Death, because totally it's going to be my first time watching it. I'm really excited to watch that. Is probably The Odd Couple, because that's just like, I feel like a very iconic Jack Lemmon role that I've heard of. Seems like a fairly big blind spot, so I'm excited to finally watch that because I really do like Jack Lemmon. His type of comedy and presence just really works for me. So I'm excited for that whole week, really.
Yeah, honestly, and yeah, I completely forgot for a second that I picked Days of Wine and Roses, and that's one that I'm very excited to watch because he was nominated for Best Actor for that the year that To Kill a Mockingbird, Gregory Peck won, and yeah, so I'm excited for that. Also, The Odd Couple, I've heard great things. Anyway,
hey everybody, don't just Google How to Murder Your Wife, or else you will end up on a list. Be sure to.
Alex is on a list,
or Rotten Tomatoes or something.
Yeah.
Also, I just have to say, I'm also excited for Meshes of the Afternoon because it's a whole 14 minutes long.
Oh,
yo,
that's nice. That is nice. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, me too.
Fair. All right. Well, with that, thank you everyone for watching, especially you, Andrew James Barr, who has been here the whole time. Thank you. We will see you again on September 1st, 9 p.m. EST. Till then, bye-bye.
Well, nobody's perfect.
I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Generally.
Good shit.